Hey there folks, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Hasbro Marvel Legends Spider-Man No Way Home Sandman figure. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so right off the bat, I really enjoy this figure. Sandman is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, especially when it comes to the films. I really enjoy this portrayal of Sandman, so it was very cool to get a figure based off of him, especially one that came out so nicely like this. And I'm very eager to go ahead and paint it to make it look even more realistic. That's just always kind of how I look at it. For me, that doesn't really affect whether I think it's a good figure or not, because I always have the urge to repaint stuff. That's just, I'm an artist at heart, so I work on trying to put my own stamp on things all the time. So I don't think this guy really needs one. I think he's pretty solid as is. He's a little bit bare when it comes to the back. But overall, I don't think it looks too bad, especially the face being as well done as it is. Do I think it's perfect? No. But I think if you didn't want to do anything to it, I think it looks pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the stuff that they've done in the past. Like, here's the Build-A-Figure Sandman arm. I think this looks really good. And then I do have a couple of random Sandman parts that I kind of want to utilize in some sort of display. And here's one of the arms from the old Toy Biz Sandman. You can see it's very similar to the way they did it here. Just slightly different colors, but overall very similar. But I think that this probably is a little bit better. It's just a nice wash going on a base color. I think that's probably would have been a better option, but I do appreciate the kind of shading here. And yeah, I just think it could have used a little bit more. But as far as the accessories go, we're actually going to pop this guy's hand off. And we're going to pop this off, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at the accessories. First up, you get two fist hands. Let me zoom in here. You get two fist hands, which is very nice. You get two grabbing hands. They're actually slightly different shapes. I didn't notice this until just now, so this one's a little bit more grippy, some grippy action, and this one's a little bit more of an action hand, which is pretty cool. Very similar to the bigger hands that you get here. Big Sandman hands. And then you get these kind of cover pieces that act as a transition and also a little bit more of a stability piece, because if you were to try to put these in here as is, I'm not a big fan of these hands being as big as they are, just kind of pegging into that little bit of a hole. So I appreciate these pieces being more of a stabilizer type thing. And I've seen some folks say that they would have liked to seen bigger hands. First of all, I think that would have looked a little bit weird, but also I just don't like the idea of big hands like this sticking out of these little tiny arms. Tiny in comparison. I don't think that's a very good idea. So I'm very happy with the size that they went with, and I think it makes the figure stable. So I don't think going any bigger would have been a good idea. So I like the way that they did. I like the route that they went with it. It would have been cool to see, if I was going to nitpick, I think it would have been cool to see maybe a fist or one of these mace hands. Kind of something that I want to do. I want to introduce some different options, because I just have these random Sandman parts that I don't have anything to do with. So I'm probably going to try to paint them up the same way that I paint this guy. So I have something to do with these pieces, because my Toy Biz Sandman is long gone. I have no idea where that guy went. And I never completed the Sandman Build-A-Figure, so I have these spare pieces. I kind of like leaving him with one normal sized hand and one big hand. I don't know why. I just think it's a little bit more visually interesting. But I want to go ahead and get this guy done, because like I said, I am eager to paint him. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty here. The face on this guy looks very solid. I'm very happy with the way he looks. Looks just like Thomas Hayden Church, in my opinion. His portrayal of Sandman is one of my favorite aspects of Spider-Man 3, if not my favorite. I really like his story in that film, and I think for the most part, it was pretty nice seeing him return in No Way Home. Of course, due to the pandemic, he wasn't able to show up in the flesh, which is a little disappointing, but I didn't so much mind seeing him in full sand form. Sandman's got one of the more weirder outfits when it comes to the supervillains. You know, it always kind of reminds me of a cartoon where the characters are always wearing the same clothes. Seeing Sandman always wear the same thing is a little bit odd. So having him just kind of show up in sand form doesn't bother me. I don't really have any gripes with it at all. It would have been cool to see, like I said, maybe a mallet fist or a bigger fist. Something like that, maybe. But, I mean, he doesn't do that in No Way Home anyway, so they're already giving you stuff that he didn't do in the movie. The way he's portrayed the rest of the film is just a big sand monster. There's not really any way for them to do that, because he just kind of floats around like a head in loose sand. So I think that they just kind of, at least in my opinion, gave me something that I really wanted. So, there's not really a whole lot to go over on this guy, so I think we're just going to go right ahead in the articulation and then some size comparisons. So first up, pop the head off. You get a double ball peg right there, or a barbell joint type thing, and it's actually done really well this time. It's not super deep. If you want this to be as optimal as possible, then from what I understand, you need to have the bigger ball on the bottom, but it doesn't really, it's not bad. It's a little bit gappy, but you get a lot of nice range of movement out of this. It's definitely one of the better ones I've seen them do, especially out of what I've gotten. I don't collect a whole lot of Marvel Legends. I just kind of collect a lot of Spider-Man stuff. So out of what I've seen, this is the best that they've done. And the gappiness doesn't really bother me, because I'm not going to have him putting his head down and then looking at him from the back. So obviously folks take pictures, and sometimes you got certain angles that you want to do, so that can be a little bit of a letdown. But I think for myself, this doesn't really bother me. He doesn't get a whole lot of down movement though, but everywhere else it's really nice. Shoulders stick out a little bit better than horizontally. Full rotation, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows are, let me do it on this one. It's a little bit stiff. There we go. Very solid. You get wrist rotation and a hinge. As far as the diaphragm joint goes, you get a lot of movement out of there, and there's actually a separate piece here. It's a little bit noticeable, but I find it more strange and over anything else. It doesn't really bother me, but get a lot of nice movement out of that. It's not shaped perfectly, and you don't get a whole lot of down movement, but you get a lot of side to side. Just a lot of movement overall, just not very much crunch. But, I mean, this is a character for myself. I'm not really worried about it. I know some people would be, but as far as my own personal preference, it doesn't bother me. No waist joint. I couldn't really, I don't care about that. Like I said, for this guy, I'm not too worried about it. But the legs go out really nicely. You get a very solid movement forward, better than horizontal, slightly better. They go back just a little bit. Thigh rotation, very nice double jointed knees. As far as the leg proportions go, they're very solid as well. And the ankles move down this far, move up really far, and you get your ankle articulation, or your ankle pivot right there. So that's very, very nice as well. But going ahead and getting some size comparisons here. I'm not going to pull out too many figures just because I just finally got a nice display going. So I only really have the figures here that I plan on doing a review on, and then some extras. So first up, we're going to take a look at some of the other figures in the wave. Here is Mary Jane, or MJ, my bad. MJ with the new Final Sewing Spider-Man. So those two right there. Here's the unmasked Andrew Garfield Spider-Man with a work-in-progress Toby. I've done a few things to this guy. He's going to be a little bit shorter than what your figure would be because I did some work to his feet. I widened the shoulders, and I'm working on the lats right now. So I would show you my unaltered one, but it is a little bit hard to get to at the moment. So there's this Toby. Stay tuned for that when I do a video on him. As far as an unaltered Toby, here's your SH Figure Arts Toby, and for fun, here's your Mafex the Batman. It's way oversized in my opinion. It's very, very tall. Like, if you have the version 3 of Christian Bale's Batman, you'll see that this guy is even way taller than him. So this is a very, very tall figure. Oh, messing stuff up. So, in one last size comparison, if you want to use this for comic book stuff, here he is compared to the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man with a animated series head on it. And one of my favorites, if not top 5 figures for me. I don't know what I just said there, but one of my favorite Spider-Man figures for sure is the Sentinel Peter B. Parker. Right there. So, yeah, guys, that's about it for this video. I really enjoy this guy. I really recommend him. He comes with some very solid stuff, in my opinion. And if you wanted to paint this guy up to make him look better, it's not hard at all. There's a lot of videos out there. I plan on doing a very similar thing myself. You just want to take a nice sand color that you like, dry brush it over the figure. If you have some of these other parts, you can kind of practice on them. But it's not hard at all. Just dry brush it over the top, and then give the figure a nice wash. Looks really good. There's a lot of videos out there of folks doing it. You got Can I Make It? Off the top of my head, he just did a video off of it. And then there's another channel online. It's a Spanish channel, though I can't remember the name of his. It's like Dino Plastics or something like that. He just did a video on it as well, if I'm not mistaken. So if you do want to go ahead and test your abilities on making this guy look even better, it's not hard at all. Just go watch those videos, and you can make this dude look even cooler. So highly recommend. Even if you don't want to do any of that, I think this guy looks really awesome. He's a nice addition to the collection, in my opinion. So fully recommend. And I think with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get the heck out of here. And of course, until next time, true believers.